Thanks, Randa, once again for your speech. And as I said, well, continuing upon the previous questions and some of the context in them, we are always told about how whoever is ashamed of me, I will be ashamed of in heaven. But by the same token, we see how there's this movement to sort of expel Catholics, in a way, silence us in these spheres such as politics, business, journalism, other things like that. In considering these things, however, do you believe that there are certain thresholds and there are certain lines to be drawn where we should voice our opinion and where is it right? And in saying such, especially with people talking about incidents where people have lost their jobs supposedly for voicing their pro-life opinions, or even how they warn about how Facebook can be used to destroy your reputation in later life. Do you believe there are appropriate mediums to do so, and you have to reach a certain threshold or a certain standard or a certain reputation before you can start voicing it? Or is there a certain way in which we can do it, in which we can voice our opinion and make ourselves certain? Because these issues are so urgent that we need to get these out, regardless of whether we get to this reputation or not.
Look, I think that there is a danger that as soon as people know that you're Catholic, or as soon as you identify yourself as being Catholic, that they immediately dismiss everything you say about life issues and so on, because they just say you're a brainwashed Catholic and you're an extremist and so on. And look, Tony Abbott has suffered from this. I believe that there are a lot of people, and including people in Parliament, who will not vote for him simply because he's a Catholic. And, he's not just a Catholic, he was a Catholic who is a practicing Catholic and who once studied for the priesthood. So it definitely is a negative. And I think that it's something that, while you don't want to be dishonest and you don't want to be ashamed of your Catholic faith, by the same token you need to understand that in a country like Australia, a very secular country with a lot of people very suspicious of overt displays of faith, that you're much better arguing a situation, being honest and saying, well, I'm Catholic, I was brought up Catholic and therefore I believe these certain things, but not to batter people over the head with the religious aspect of what you're talking about. You need to mount a cogent intellectual argument and stick to that, and do not get emotional. And emotion and religion, people are tied up in people's minds, and they think that religion is irrational. The Australian, and so this idea that Pope Benedict has written a lot about faith and reason and so on. You can argue both sides, but you have to be very careful. And my advice is just be logical. Use logic and common sense, and acknowledge that you're a Catholic, but do not try and preach to people and try and convert them to your religion, or almost keep religion out of it.
Again, just one question at the back.
Thanks, Miranda. Just wondering, how dangerous do you think it is for the culture of virtue that we have an atheist cohabiting Prime Minister in the Lodge?
She's been on the record saying that while she personally doesn't believe in God, she was brought up, I think, as a Baptist, and she believes in the good things that that religion brings people, and that she believed, she would never actively go out to disrespect people for their faith. So I don't really think that makes any difference at all, her being there. I mean, Kevin Rudd going to church on Sunday, when people who knew him before he became Prime Minister knew that he didn't. According to a couple of them I know, so that he wasn't quite as devout as he was when he became Prime Minister. And it was, the cynical could say that it was just about having a photo opportunity in front of a church. So I don't really think it makes much difference. I think it's the quality of the person's character, and I just don't like bashing up Julia Gillard because everyone else is doing it. But obviously, I think her government's pretty incompetent, but I don't think that's got anything to do with her, living arrangements or her lack of belief in God.
Excellent, Mary. Mary, we've just got one question to your left.
Good evening, Miranda. Thanks for coming. I was very impressed at some of your responses so far, especially with regards to the nanny state, the welfare state. People have been talking about it for a long time. Sir Thomas Dalrymple said in the 18th century that democracy is not a sustainable form of government. It lasts only as long until the electorate realise they can just vote themselves largesse from the public treasury. As a Conservative, are you in favour of voter qualifications? Sorry for being convoluted.
Do you mean where only a man who owns property can vote?
Oh, not that system in his time, certainly not. I'll be really simple. If I was running for Prime Minister in 10 years' time and I offered you $20 to vote for me, would you consider that a bribe?
Yes.
Okay, no. Let's say I was running for Prime Minister about 4 years ago and I offered every person around about this age a laptop worth more than $20.
Do you think, though, that people vote based on whether they get a laptop?
Well, if history is anything to go by, yes, not to be patronising.
I don't know. I think there are a lot of reasons that people vote, and I don't know that they just do it because they think they're going to get a laptop. And if they do, I subscribe to the wisdom of crowds theory, which is that the sort of intelligence of an entire crowd is higher than the intelligence of the most intelligent person in it. And so you might have these, I think the Australian electorate kind of gets it right most times. And, we'll never know whether they got it right or wrong with Kevin Rudd because he was sort of prematurely dispatched. But those sort of things, those aberrations where people might just vote, or a group of people of a certain age might just vote because they want a free laptop. Well, that's sort of absorbed into a whole populace that votes for all sorts of reasons. I mean, there are dumb reasons people vote and dumb reasons, But I think overall there are enough people in the country in a democracy for those kind of aberrations to get. And anyway, there's not much. I don't see there's much better alternative.